Troy Hurd with Cedar Creek Dulcimers, and I'm here today to show you how to play a little instrument that we like to call a chord stick. It's a one-finger chord instrument, so all your major chords are just done with one finger. Instead of like a guitar where you have to learn different chording technique, like a C chord or a G chord, you just stick one finger across all the strings. Well, I always say the hardest part to a chord stick is finding a simple way or an easy way to hold it. And because of that little bitty triangle box, that little bitty box hard to get a hold of. Personally, what I like to do is I like to hold it up tight against me with my arm. And even if your arm is laying across the strings, it won't matter. As long as it's below the bridge, it won't muffle the tone. You find a way that works good for you. And if nothing else, we can always put a strap on there. A mandolin strap works great. And we just put a little button on the bottom and you hook your mandolin strap on if you would prefer to hold it with a strap. Personally, I just like to hold it with my arm, because it's so lightweight and I can take it, set it off, play another instrument, whatever. But anyway, doing our chords, they're just all one finger. Now when we want a C chord, for example, we got little markers on the side to show you where your chords are located at. So when we need a C chord, you're going to stick your finger across all the strings and press down. Now, if your fingers aren't strong enough to hold it down to where you get a nice clear sound, you can use another finger over the top of it if you need to for pressure. Personally, what I like to do is I like to pinch it. I put my thumb directly in behind and my finger over the top, so I more or less pinch it down. So it's not just my top finger trying to do all the pressure, but it's actually the effort of the two fingers combined. Okay, we're going to play Amazing Grace. And the first chord we need in Amazing Grace is a G chord. Now you have a G chord without touching anything. You just strum, and that's your G chord. Now the first time we go through the song, we're going to go at a really slow tempo to get you used to it. So start with this G chord right here. Now right now we're just going to practice the chords we need. Then in a minute, John's going to play Amazing Grace for us on the mountain dulcimer, and we're going to follow along and back him up. So there's our G chord. Now we need a C chord. Now back to the G chord again. Now the D chord. And then back to our G chord again, like so. So if you would like to at this point, you can pause the DVD and practice doing your three chords. And just get to the point to where you can do them comfortably and you can make a nice clear sound and you can make the transitions between the chords smoothly. And then when you come back, we're going to play our first song, Amazing Grace. All right, now that you're ready, we're ready to play our first song. Now, we're going to give the strum like so. Now, you start with your G chord, which is just your open strum. And we're going to play it real slowly like this. And in just a minute, John's going to start playing Amazing Grace for us. Now, I'm going to call out the chord changes to you. So when it's time to make a chord change, I'll say C, and then we'll go to our C chord. And for right now, just keep this steady little strum like this, just to keep the beat, just to get us started into it. Okay, John, whenever you're ready, we're going to follow you here. G. Now the C. Back to our G again. D chord. That's it. Back to G. Now the C. Back to our G again. Now a quick D. Back to G. All right, very good. Now if you need to, you can go back, rewind that, and play again at that tempo if you would like. But if you're ready to move on, we're going to play the same song again, but now we're going to up the tempo just a little bit. Okay, now we're ready to add a little more tempo to the song. We're going to bring it up to speed, more like if somebody was singing the song and we would be backing them up to play along. Now, as a rhythm player, we need to make sure that we're paying attention to the melody instrument or the person singing. So what we're going to do is John's going to start off playing. We're going to join in and match him at whatever speed that he's going. Now we're going to start with the G chord. So remember, your first chord is just your open strum. So John, whenever you're ready, you go ahead and play and we're going to join in with you. G. Now the C. Back to our G again. Now the D chord. Back to our G. That's it. Now the C. Back to our G. Now quick D. D, G. All right, very good. Now once again, if you want to stop and go back and work on it at that speed, go ahead and pause and do so at this time. We're going to take a short little pause. When we come back, now we're going to show you how to add some rhythm to the song. All right, now we're going to add a little rhythm to the song. Now, if you're happy just doing what we've done up to this point, just giving a strum, just keeping the timing, basically that's kind of like if you was clapping your hands, what we're doing up to this point. And if that's good for you, that's all you need to do, because that's all the singer or the lead player needs, is somebody just keeping the timing for them to help them keep the beat. But if you would like to add a little more rhythm to the song like so, that's what I'm going to show you next. Now, if we was counting out our timing up to this point, what we've been doing, it's been 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and so forth. Well, and the extra beat is, I call it an and beat. So if we're counting that out, 1, 2, 3, the extra beat coming up would just be an and beat in between. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now you can add that extra beat anywhere you want to in the song. Like instead of at the end of your strums like I like to do, you can add it at the beginning of your strums. And so if you did that, it would be 1 and 2, 3. 1 and 2, 3. Whichever way you like to do it. The way that I do, where I add them at the end, 2 and 3, 1, 2, and 3, or at the beginning, it doesn't matter. And every once in a while, if you throw an extra beat in besides that, that's okay, it doesn't matter. You know, it's just do whatever sounds good to you and however you have fun doing it. It's your song, make it your tune. So if you want to, once again, go ahead and pause at this point. You can practice on that strumming rhythm, 1, 2, and 3. The other thing you might do is also work on doing some chord changes while you're doing it. 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. So just practice that for a little bit. When you feel comfortable, we're going to come back, play the song up to tempo, and we're going to go through the song 2 times to give you plenty of time to get into it. So John, whenever you're ready, go ahead and start, and we're going to join in with you. G, 2 and 3, 2 and 3, Miss C, 2 and 3, G, 2 and 3, G, 2 and 3. Now the D, 2 and 3, and 1, 2 and 3, back to G, 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3. Now the C, 2 and 3, back to G, 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3. Quick D. Now one more time, we're going to go through it. This time I'm not going to call out the chords, you just follow along. That's it, very good. Very good, that's it. Well, that's how you play a chord stick. It's just a simple one-finger chord instrument like that. And all your major chords are just all going to be with the one finger across all the strings. Now, we'll pause it one more time so you can go back and play this over and over again till you feel comfortable. When you come back, I'm going to give you just a little history on the chord stick, tell you the differences between the models. Then I'm going to show you how to start also using other music to play by. And then I'm even going to show you a way that if you sit in on a jam session and they don't have any music there, I'm going to show you a good, easy tip that helps you to know how to join in and play along with them. Well, in case for those who would like to know just a little bit of the history behind a chord stick, about 25 years ago, there was a local musician, entertainer, comedian friend of ours named Kent Woolston. Everybody knows him as his character name of Catfish. He collected instruments and he plays all kinds of instruments. Well, he had this old mountain instrument called a picking stick. And it was a little triangle box instrument about so big. And most of the time picking sticks only had one or maybe two strings on them. And they were set up with a dulcimer fretboard. So the idea was that when you went to play a song, you just pick out little one-line melodies like you would on the dulcimer, except there's no drone strings to go along with it. But the idea was that you could hold it up and do it like a guitar, you know. Well, he said, I like the idea of this chord stick, but with the little bitty box, it doesn't put out much sound. So when I play it, most people can't hear it. And then he said, it only has 10 notes on it, because most picking sticks, that's all they had was the 10 notes on it. So there was a lot of tunes he couldn't play. So at first what he wanted us to do was just make the box bigger so it'd be louder, adding some more frets. But then when I got the instrument all done, I decided, well, we already got an easy melody instrument with the mountain dulcimer. So I thought instead of more melody instruments, we need to turn him into an easy chord instrument. So we added those extra strings and tuned it to that open tuning, which allowed us to do all those one-finger chords. So now we can technically have a one-finger melody player on a dulcimer. We can have a one-finger chord player on here to play backup. Neither one has work at it that hard. Well, to tell you about the different models though, so the original 3-string chord stick was our first one, because that was our first one that we were designing, which we were using the old picking stick, the old mountain picking stick as a inspiration for it. So the original 3-string chord stick will have the same fretboard setup as a mountain dulcimer. Now you can do all your major chords with just one finger, just like we was doing on the 4-string chord stick. And the major chords are what you're going to use most often anyway, you know, like G, A, B, C, D, E, and F. Now you can still learn how to do sharp and flat chords on the 3-string chord stick, but you will have to add some extra fingers for it. Like when we want to do a B flat chord, we're doing an F chord. Well, if we add these 2 fingers down, we got a B flat chord. So we can still do sharps and flats on the 3-string chord stick, but you do have to learn to add extra fingers when you get into that mode of playing. So what we did on the 4-string chord stick was, we went ahead and added those extra frets in. So now every chord could be played with just your one finger, even your sharps and flats. So now when you do a B flat chord, instead of having to add the extra fingers, the space right below B flat, that empty space right below, that'll be your B flat chord now. And for example, if you needed an E flat chord, the space right below E would be an E flat. Or if you need a sharp, the space right above whichever chord you're looking at is the sharp. So a C sharp chord, the space right above C would be our C sharp chord. So now even sharps and flats you can just do with one finger. Then we went ahead and added that extra low D string to it too, just to give it a little more oomph. Kind of like a tenor banjo sound is what it makes me think. But anyway, just give it that little extra oomph, that little extra bite, you know. Now, our very newest version of our chord stick line is our poor man's version of a dobro. We call it the hobro. And it's made after the fashion of our 4-string chord stick, although we do go ahead and make the box a little bit deeper, and we use some different woods. And then the strings are raised up high on the hobro, just like on a dobro. And the reason why, because you don't actually chord the strings to the fret with your finger like a fretted instrument, you actually use a slide bar when you're playing it. Now we have a whole separate instructional lesson that's devoted just to the hobro to show you just the differences in the setup, but we won't get into that right now. Now one more thing I wanted to show you real quick is on changing a string on your chord stick. Now the chord stick has little pins in the bottom just like our dulcimers do. The strings are just guitar strings. So, I mean, we're happy to mail you strings, but it's not like you have to find special chord stick strings. The 2 little strings are both like little E strings off of a guitar. The 2 big strings are both like G strings off of a guitar. So you got the little E and the G, or on the dulcimer the same way. The little string from a dulcimer replaces those. The big string on a dulcimer replaces this one. Now, since most dulcimers are set up like we do the chord sticks, where they have the little pins at the bottom. If you are getting the mountain dulcimer sets that Martin makes, they'll have little loops on the end of the string. And if that's the case, all you do is take that little loop and just hook it across your peg. Now, if you are using a guitar string that's got a little brass knob on the end, that'll still work. Take the end of the string, run it through the knob, and just make a lasso and lasso it across the peg. Now, up here at the top, it works just like a guitar tuner, because that's what they are. They're guitar tuners. There's a hole in the post. You take whichever string you're replacing, you take the end of the string, poke it through the hole, pull most of the slack through. Leave enough slack in the string so when you turn the knob, it'll wrap around that post at least 3 or 4 times. That makes sure it will never slide off the post. And then when you're all done, snip off the excess with just some little wire snippers, or even fingernail clippers work for most of these strings because they're such a light gauge of string. And so basically that's a little bit of history behind the chord stick, and just a little bit of care and maintenance for it as well. Tuning. I need to get back to tuning. I almost forgot to tell us how to do that. That might be important to know. Well, the original 3-string chord stick, the biggest string is a G. Then we have a B and a D. Now, if you have another instrument to tune to, like a piano, this would be the G right below middle C. If you're using a guitar, just tune it straight up to the G on a guitar. Then we got B and our D. Now, the 4-string chord stick, we not only have that G, B, and D, but we go ahead and add that low D in as well too. So now you got low D, G, B, D. And the Hobro is done exactly the same way as well too. One more thing I want to show you before we quit our instruction. If you're playing out of a guitar book, because you don't have to have special music with the chord sticks or the Hobro. It don't have to be a special chord stick booklet or even a dulcimer book for that matter. You can use a guitar book, a piano book, any book that has the chords above the top of it. And I'll let John kind of pan in here a little bit closer so you can see what I'm talking about. This is just an easy play guitar book that we have in the shop, and just to give you an example. Now, if you're a very first time musician, here's a real simple way to teach you how to do timing. Because when I first started playing music, I knew nothing about timing. I didn't know how to read music. I didn't know time signatures. So here was the simple way I taught myself how to keep timing. Basically, what I would do is I would give a strum for each word to the song. And then when the word gets to where my new chord is, I know when I reach that word in the song that I need to switch to that chord. The other thing to look at, I don't know if you can see this good, John's going to zero in for you. See how this says a D7 in this guitar book? Well, all you have to do with the chord stick, if it says D, D7, G, G7, even G suspended, whatever, anything that says a D in this case, just play your D chord. Anything that says a G, just play your G chord, no matter if it says a 7th or suspended or whatever. Like I had one musician told me, he said, with only 3 notes, G, B, and D, he said it's not enough to fully commit anyway. So he said you can't tell the difference anyhow. And I found out most guitar players don't even do the 7ths either. They just play a D chord as well, you know. Now, one more thing I want to show you. Say you're sitting in on a jam session. Or the little old country church I went to for years, where I played dulcimer and chord stick and everything at for a number of years. When somebody come up to sing, they wouldn't hand out music to everybody. They would just tell you what key they're going to play in. And jam sessions are a lot like that too. So if you want to get together and play at family reunions or jam sessions at the campground or whatever it is, and the guitar player just said, okay, we're going to do this one in C. Well, again, when I first started, I knew nothing about music theory. So I know I start with a C chord, but what chord do I do next? A, F, B, I didn't know, you know. So a lady that played accordion in church at the time, she made me this simple little chart right here. And again, I'm going to let John zoom in on it. And this helped me out a bunch. So when you're wanting to play with a group and they don't have any music in front of you, this is a real easy chart to show us how to join in with them. Whatever key that singer calls off, and by the way, this chart is going to be in your chord stick or your Hobro booklet as well too. So whatever key the singer or the musician or the leader of the group calls out. So if they call out and say, we're going to play this one in C, you know that you're going to start with a C chord. Then the only other 2 chords for most every tune is going to be an F or a G. So you're sitting there doing a C chord, playing along with everybody, and all of a sudden you can tell everybody made a chord change. Well, you got a 50-50 shot. It'll be F or G. You try one, it's not right, you do the other one. Now, if you just get totally lost, like I did when I first started, just go back to your main chord, your C chord, and then start it all over again. And so, for example, if they call out a D chord, and you're going to strum your D, and for your starting chord, and then once again 50-50 shot, it'll be a G or an A. So this will help you out a bunch if you just want to get in on an impromptu jam session with somebody, or playing when there's no music around. Well, hope you have a lot of fun with your chord stick. Sounds like I need to go answer the phone, so I'm going to let you go for now, and have fun at picking and a grinning.